Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here, and I'm finally in front of a camera after a while. I probably have already said this, that the main reason for that is that this new laptop doesn't exactly have the greatest setup for its webcam. It's really awkward. It's an entirely independent system that isn't fully registered, and it's very out of date, so I'd have to get another webcam, which I just haven't had the chance to do. So, real quick, if you're probably noticing why my face doesn't match the current channel name, I did change it. I said it in a previous video. Quick little recap on that. I don't know. This is kind of what I want it to be for now. I'm very inconsistent when it comes to names. For some reason, I can't sit on just one. I haven't really found one I really like that I'm going to stick with. But this for right now is the channel I want to keep, because this is the channel I would like to use for when I start doing gameplay videos, if that happens, which we're going to talk about at the very end of this Q&A. But yes, there is a Q&A. I submitted on Facebook and a few other places online to do a fun little Q&A. Now, I'm a know-nothing channel with only like 280 subscribers, and I think maybe only half of which are really active. If they're more so, I do apologize. I don't see these things. Anyway, I just thought it'd be really fun because it's not really something I've done on my channel. No one really knows me on more of a personal level, and I figured, well, let's have some fun. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of these, as well as just kind of interject some other ones in there that I just received in private. And we're just going to go right through these. I do apologize if a few of them might be out of order based on who submitted them. When I did make this list, it was a while ago, and I think the organization was off. So let's get right into it. My boy Corey over at his channel Sea Stove, he submitted a couple questions for me. Let's see what he has. If you could choose one wrestler to unretire or be alive again and wrestle in their prime, who and why? See, now this is really tough because, like, right away, like, people like Brian Pillman and Owen Hart immediately come to mind, because we're talking about two guys who died way too soon, way too unexpectedly, and had amazing in-ring talent. Owen Hart being one of the best in-ring workers I can imagine, who should have, given like another year or two, I definitely think we would have seen him in like the top card spot. Pillman, if left to his own creative control, which I do give him credit for, because that's how he got into the WWE. His legendary shoot in ECW on WCW was freaking awesome. Go look that up. Great talker, great worker. No one really else is truly coming to mind. Unretire. See, the thing is like, everyone who I think has retired now had just reason to retire. The only one I would probably want to say would be Edge, and that was because of his neck injury, and I want to see him come back. And for obvious reasons, he's an amazing promo. He's a fantastic wrestler. So there's a bunch. There's a whole bunch. I'm trying to think if there's any more that come to mind. Nothing's really jumping out at me. So I'm just going to go with those few and just leave it at that. I firmly believe that if Owen Hart hadn't had that accident happen, he could have become something much, much bigger. And yeah, I would say maybe the same for Bret if he didn't get injured. But at the same time, his shtick kind of wears really thin with me. Like, he's a wrestler who doesn't really know how to grow. I mean, we saw shades of that, but aside from like his bad boy antics that he was pulling in WCW and like his anti-America stuff he did in like the later part of his 1996 run, I really don't know. Moving on. If you had to impress somebody special with one food dish, what would you make and why? See, now, this is a trick question, because if I had to impress somebody, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit of an ass in that regard, because I really don't feel like I should have to show off in order to impress somebody with my food. And I guess that's maybe me being a little bit, egotistical. But if I had to impress somebody with one food dish, it would definitely have to be, well, it's going to be nothing vegetarian because you can't impress anybody with vegetarian. I'm going to say no to dessert because I feel like dessert is supposed to be like the ribbon on top of – it's supposed to be the bow that ties everything together at the end of the meal. It's supposed to look nice. It's supposed to taste good too, but I really – as far as like aesthetic, like the most pleasing and what I want to impress somebody with, dessert's not the way I want to go. If I really wanted to impress somebody, I would have to make – I'm debating on a dish I've never done, and correction, I've done once, and debating on a dish I've done all the time. If I really wanted to impress somebody, I'm pretty sure if I did my chicken pasta primavera correctly, that would be my dish to impress. And if I went safe, I would probably end up doing my chicken franchise. Only because I know I can do that really, really well. I'm not a fan of lemon-based chicken dishes for some reason. At least not over anyway. And why would I do it? Because I don't know. If I'm doing that for my wife, it's for obvious reasons. So that would be my reason why. And Corey finishes up with, what comics would you recommend for a noob to start with? Now, this also is a little trickier of a question to answer because honestly, I just Batman. It depends on personality. I really do think. If you're very old school when it comes to your favorite kind of comic book heroes that you've seen on TV and the movies, go with your gut. However, I am going to say, as it stands right now in the current Marvel and DC world, if you're looking for something that's a lot more fun, I would probably stick with DC only because their Rebirth line that I've talked about time and time again. It offers so many options. They're having a ton of great fun with the series, and it's going in so many directions. I mean, they had a crossover between a Planet of the Apes and Green Lantern, for crying out loud. I say for that. If you're looking for something more in the realistic aspect, I would say Marvel, although they're starting to come around too. And if you're someone that just wants something completely outside of the box, stick with just look Dark Horse, IDW, and any of those brands. Honestly, I don't want to say just do Marvel or DC. I want to say go with your gut. If you're looking for something a little bit different, like I know the Ghostbusters comics are awesome. The Transformers comics are pretty cool. The Walking Dead comics are phenomenal. But if you're, I'll just paint the whole picture. If you're somebody who likes the fun, like comic book movies you're watching now, I would very much recommend that you probably get into DC Comics because they're the ones that are capturing that fun and that creativity and that kind of like adventurous spirit within their comics. And with that being said, I would recommend Detective Comics is really good. So is Action Comics. Those are also really good. Aquaman is fantastic. Green Arrow is phenomenal. Anything in Rebirth right now is a pretty safe bet, I would say. Titans is a huge underrated series. I very much recommend that. I'm currently in between Batman, Hal Jordan, and the Green Lantern Corps, which is fantastic. That Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps is the series that keeps giving because it gives you everything you've wanted so far. What else? Steve Rogers' Captain America on Marvel is really good. Secret Empire is fantastic. And the only series so far for Marvel that has basically apologized for the first Civil War, the only series since then so far that has said the reason why everything is so screwed up the way it is because we did it to ourselves. They're finally acknowledging it. So go with your gut. The Power Rangers comics I do also recommend. They're fantastic. The crossover they're having with DC right now is really fun. My boy Jason asked me if I could be one person for a day, who would it be and why? If I could be one person for a day, that's a tough question because I don't necessarily like to put myself in other people's footsteps, only for obvious reasons. I don't like living through the scope of someone else's. But if there's someone who I was like, man, that'd be really cool to live their life for one day, I'd probably say Chris Pratt, only because, like, of all of the stuff, all the projects he's worked on and all the stuff he's been doing online and with his movie star friends, I want to live, I want to see what it's like to live in his shoes for a day. Obviously, he's going through some stuff right now in his personal life. Him and his wife are splitting up. So, I'll say Chris Pratt right around when he was concluding Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and we'll go from there. Let's see. I'm pretty sure he meant to say, if you could interview a prolific figure in history, who would you choose, and what is the number one question you would ask them? People, I think, would want me to ask somebody like a historical figure. I kind of want to go the other route, and I want to talk to like a very almost vile person almost, and just ask them why they did what they did. And right now I feel like for some reason Adolf Hitler is coming to mind. And I guess if I had to ask him one question, it would be, did your mom not love you enough? Because that dude had some serious problems. Like some serious problems. But if I have to give the textbook response, which is who more prolific. See, that's really tough because I really don't know what I would ask anybody. It would probably be Abraham Lincoln, and I would ask him what his honest stance on slavery was, because there's a lot of documentation in textbooks and in history books that state, the Civil War and his position on it. However, he's not squeaky clean on the subject, and I'd like to get an honest answer out of him. He's not my favorite president. I think he's a very important one based on what happened after the Civil War and where our country went after that. Not to say that I'm accusing him of being anything other than a decent president. However, there's some shades of gray in there that I'm really curious about. If I can make any sequel for any game, what could it be? That is... Oh, man, what would it be? If I can make a sequel for any game, what would it be? Urban Reign. Urban Reign 2 needs to happen. I feel, especially now with how big multiplayer is, that would be phenomenal. Could even be an entry in another established series too? Well, if I did that, it would probably go back and fix some of the Assassin's Creed games. Because Revelations was boring. What kind of shampoo do you use in your hair? Well, I have a little bit of a dry scalp issue, so I use Head and Shoulders. And that was all from my boy Scott DiPiero. So thank you for that, Scott. My boy Chris, DC Ready, he sent me quite a few questions. Who was your favorite Spice Girl? It was Posh, but then I got a hold of Ginger, and I have a thing for redheads, so that's my winner. What is your best season of Power Rangers, and why is it in space? Honestly, I don't think it is in space. I think in space is probably, if it's not number one, it's definitely the silver placeholder. Now, understandably, I don't know if it is in space. I really don't know. I really like In Space, but Zeo is popping right out at me too. And let's not forget how magical Turbo was. No, it wasn't that good. No, yeah, you know what? It was in space only because that was the series that had a very limited budget, so it had to impress based on its writing and its storytelling, and it did that really well. Zeo was still really campy, but to me, the reason why Power Rangers Zeo was such a big thing for me was because this was like the next step in the series. And like that was when the fight got even bigger in my eyes. Like them achieving like a whole new level of powers was such a big deal to me because that was the first time it had happened. Because we had 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin where they got new Zords and they got the ninja powers, but it felt like an ascended Super Saiyan, if you will. Like it's still a Super Saiyan, they're just more powerful. Zeo was actually like the next step. Like it was advancing the fight that much more. But a lot of the episodes were still very, very cheesy, and there were some missteps. But In Space, to me, felt like the perfect season, aside from the healing magical tears of Andros, which I felt was really kind of silly. But it is Power Rangers, so what do you expect? What is your name? I feel that goes without saying. My name is Eric. What is your quest? I don't really know what that means, so I'll go what I think it means. If you mean one of my quests in life, my quest in life is to basically be the best person that I can be because it's needed, especially now in a world where so many people are divided and angry and just it's such a dark place. And if I can at least somewhat try to be some kind of like light to some degree, I mean, I figure that's worth trying. What is your favorite color? My favorite color is blue. Okay, he's gonna trick me up with this one. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm looking this up right now. Hold on one second, having some issues here. Oh, sorry about that. I then get the question, what is the capital of Assyria? Technically, based on what I'm looking at, Assur, but you know, we're talking about an empire that lasted between 612 BC and 599 BC, and it was mainly an empire, not a state. But whatever. What is the average airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Oh man, I actually looked that up. I'm not gonna cheat. I'll say it was I think it's like in the mid-20s, early 30 miles an hour. I really don't know, nor do I really care to go look it up right now. Thank you for those weird questions, Chris. Adam Ciano, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He asks me, do you think Nintendo would be where it is if the NES packing game wasn't different? For example, as Zelda or Tetris. That's a good question. I don't think it really would have mattered because, like, for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the packing game was, I believe it was Super Mario and Duck Hunt, wasn't it? And then for the Game Boy, it was Tetris. The thing with Nintendo is that people know where to find the gold, and the real hardcore fans, they appreciate what they have regardless. So I don't really think it would make too much of a difference. However, I will say if the NES came with The Legend of Zelda, I can almost guarantee you that the price on it wouldn't be as high as it is. I don't think it would be a $20 or $25 game. I can tell you that right now. I think it'd be a lot cheaper. What if Nintendo 64 was a disc system and Square didn't jump to PlayStation? I don't really have any thoughts on that. I think if Nintendo 64 was a disc system, I think that could have really hurt the development of the GameCube and possibly even we might not even have gotten a GameCube if that was the case, because the problem with the disc system on that was that there really wasn't a lot of support for it, and based on I think it was something I saw on Gamester 81's channel, it would have required a lot of games to have more than one disc. But we'll say best case scenario, if it was a disc system and Square would have stayed with Nintendo, I don't think we would have had some of the more cutting edge RPGs from Square that we have now, because Nintendo likes to play it really safe. Think about games that would have been Nintendo. I don't even know. Well, Final Fantasy would not be Final Fantasy. I can tell you that right now. I do not think we would have gotten the Final Fantasy VII all the way current if they would have stayed with Nintendo. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I'm kind of glad that they did split, because look at what we have now, and I'm very appreciative of that. Mark Tryon, I do hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Sorry, Mark. Do you feel tacos taste better on Tuesday as opposed to any other day of the week? As a matter of fact, I feel they taste worse on Tuesday, only because Tuesday is my weird shift at work. And if I do have to go and get takeout for dinner, for some reason, I'm already tired, and tacos just after like a busy morning, afternoon, they just don't really sit well in my stomach. However, tacos on Friday night are amazing, because I'm not in a hurry to get up the following morning, and I can appreciate them. I was also asked what was my best subject in school. Let's see. I would have said my art classes, and the reason why I'm not going to is because while I did enjoy them, I never really learned anything. And believe me, it was not from lack of trying. It was solely because the teachers I had were more focused on being your buddy than teaching us something. And I don't have a problem with a teacher wanting to be your pal. I do, however, have a problem with the fact that that's their goal. Like, don't put me in your same class for several years, and then it's like I have no takeaway. I learned nothing. Except when I went into a computer arts program, then I learned something. But when I'm basically just handed a poster board and said, here, make this and hand it and get it to me in about 3 weeks, really? But my best subject in school, I was terrible at foreign language, only because I have a very lazy mouth. So for me to roll my R's in Spanish was not that easy for me. Math, I wasn't terrible. I actually liked math because the problem solving, everything was very formulaic, so I actually kind of enjoyed math. English was okay. I had a lot of fun in PE. A lot of fun. My best subject in school. Probably computer design. Probably computer design, I'd say, yeah. My boy, Mr. Stand-Up, I'm gonna try to pronounce the first name. Kenny Tenoron Stand-Up. I'm sorry. When do you sneak in your gaming in now that you're a new dad? Well, it's primarily at night when she's sleeping, and maybe in the morning after I drop her off at her grandmother's for the day, if I'm working that day. So maybe then. Definitely nowhere near as much as it was. Yeah, definitely not as much gaming, unfortunately. And I'm looking forward to when she can get some more solid sleep at night, and maybe that will change things. So, excuse me, a little tired. And on that note, baby's doing really good. Has a little bit of colic, which is both a test of patience and frustrating, but we're getting through it. Other than that, she's doing pretty good, growing pretty well. She's already about 10 pounds and just over 2 months old. So she's doing pretty good. I'm doing good. My wife is doing really good. Wife is now back to work full time. I'm currently now only working one job, and that's going to be full time after this week. We got some other stuff in the woodworks right now. Not stuff I'm genuinely going to be discussing openly at this moment, but pretty good stuff. So that was it as far as fan-submitted questions. I do have some more stuff. We're just going to kind of fly right through. Basic Q&A stuff. Favorite video game? Final Fantasy VII, for obvious reasons. That's the game I've probably played the most, put in the most time, and almost have explored 100%. I'm even thinking about trying to do a perfect Disc 1 challenge, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically it's a completing 100% nightmare, which means you have to get 100 of every possible item you can get on Disc 1, minus key weapons and items that you can only get once, which is really hard because in some areas of the map, and I'm thinking about halfway through the first disc, there's only one item that appears on the Wutai area, and I'm guessing the RNG rate for it is less than 1%. And then, of course, there's manipulation to RNG, meaning how many times you fight and how many times you run away. So there's that. Favorite current PS4 game. Again, tough question, but as it stands right now, Horizon Zero Dawn is probably the best game I've played in the last year. I'm going to go back and finish it. It's hard to kind of complete it when you're a little preoccupied. So, out of all the Sonys, probably I have the most games for PS2, definitely. But the next one would definitely be PlayStation 1, and then 3, and then 4, only because 4 is current and the most expensive. With that being said, collecting for Sony is relatively easier and a lot cheaper than Nintendo. I was thinking about getting back in and collecting carts, but the problem is that prices in this area have gone up so much that even the common stuff is hitting $10 a piece. So I need that market to take a pretty big hit for me to get back into it safely. So, there was a question on comics. Comics, as I said, current comics I'm getting right now are mainly all from DC, and that would be Trinity, Hal Jordan of the Green Lantern Corps, Batman, Red Hood and the Outlaws, which is massively underrated. Let me check down here because I know I'm leaving one out. All-Star Batman, but I'm a little behind on those. And I'm currently reading Bane Conquest. And then for Marvel, and then there's the Power Rangers DC crossover, which is going to be concluding soon. What else? And then, yeah, for Marvel, it was Steve Rogers, Captain America, and then it was Secret Empire. And I'm currently reading Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme. That's an older series, but why not? I'm going to be getting into the Inhumans really soon. So let's try to think if there's anything else. Titans I'm way behind on. I'm not going to do Teen Titans. Teen Titans were good, but nah. Current shows that I'm watching. Right now, me and my wife are going through Doctor Who. We're on season 3, which I think is a very underrated season. Seasons 3 and 4 were very underrated, and I do mean the current run of Doctor Who, not like not from like 1960s and early 70s, only because those are incredibly hard to find on disc, and they do get expensive. Season 3 with Martha, I feel is really good, even though I feel like her character was written in a way that really didn't benefit her at all until the end of the season, but I guess that's the whole point. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the series. And then season 4, which it was a ton of fun, and that was with Catherine Tate's character Donna. Her as an actress I love. It's a ton of fun. Doctor Who, great series. Go check it out if you've never checked it out. It's a lot of fun. I'm also going through Parks and Rec again. I'm on season 4, I believe. And I think that may be it. Everything else is really YouTube related that I'm watching for obvious reasons. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Any good movies that I have watched lately? Nothing really new. I haven't had a chance to really go out and watch anything new. I must have said I was going to go out and watch all the new movies ever since Wonder Woman, and I still haven't seen that. I mean, I just watched The Truman Show. That was on Amazon Prime Video. That was pretty awesome. I'm still have to watch Rogue One. I am so far behind on movies. Like, being a new dad, as awesome as it is, like, you really do have to plan. Like, everything has to work around the baby, because it's not like I can just put it on in the back. I mean, I could put it on in the background and I could listen to it while I'm taking care of her, but it's not the same thing. So everything comes in its moments. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Sports you play in your fun time. When I can get people together, we'll throw a football around, or we'll do a pickup game of basketball. If I have a free afternoon or morning, I like to go out and golf. And if the right people want to go, then we'll do fishing. So I do like to get out. I do like to move around. I don't solely just like to sit inside all day. Just lots of fun stuff. And if there and the one game I'm looking forward to by the end of the year would be the new South Park game, only because the first one was so incredibly fun. Do I have any more pickup videos coming? That remains to be seen, because I really don't know if I want to do them anymore, and I really don't think it's something anyone wants to see. So that's going to kind of get into this final segment, which is going to be the future of the channel. So I had said on Facebook, and I'm not going to do a page for my channel. I don't plan on doing a page for my channel unless I get to like a really stupid high number. But as it stands right now, with things going on and the new baby, content, if it were to come out, would be at an alarmingly slow pace. Now, I do enjoy putting videos out. That's good, but the problem is how I want to do it, it's not really coming together. And people have told me, oh, just, do it this way, or take some time and do it that way. The problem is like, I have a vision in my head of how I want to do it, and that's how I want to stick with it. And contrary to people telling me to either take time or follow this direction, for some reason, when I hear those two things, it's not hitting a note with me that I really like. So there's got to be an underlying issue as to why I'm struggling with all this, aside from not having any time. Simple fact is this. As it stands right now, my channel is not necessarily a product that most people are into, and I'm not necessarily in a huge hurry to get stuff out. So as it stands right now, if I do manage to get anything out, it's going to be very sporadic, if at all. But I don't see a grand return probably until the holiday season, and that's if I decide to even do that. So the current plan looks like right now I'm going to be bowing out and letting other people have their time to shine, I guess, or not take up anyone's spot. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. I'm not trying to end on a downer note, but I'm just trying to be realistic, because I figured, people have been really supportive and helpful, and I love you guys for that. and I figure I owe it to people and anyone who did enjoy watching. But I have no obligation to me, and I'm only doing this for the people who really want to do it, and I'm doing it for myself. And right now, I feel like it's time for me to step away. So this definitely isn't goodbye, but it is definitely maybe down the road. So cross your fingers, hope things work out for the best. And if everything works out the way I want it to, then before you know it, we'll be fully upgrading and we're marching on into the future. So until next time.